You're listening to Fresh Out the Gate. Man, I be so fresh. Fresh Podcast Network.
בלי קשקושים.
Straight from Tel Aviv, Israel.
רק מה שמעניין.
Let's go.
Hi, my name is Hilal Leizarovich.
And I'm Ron Avon. We are two entrepreneurs from Israel, and we are on a journey to find out what makes entrepreneurs, investors, and CEOs
Succeed or fail.
and we hope to inspire your journey. Hello everybody, and welcome to the TLV DNA show. I'm Ron Avon, the Chief Designer of ThinkUp. With me,
Hilal Leizarovich, VP Product of ThinkUp.
and today our guest is...
Asaf Ganot, founder and CEO of ControlUP. Hello, everybody.
Hey.
So Asaf, let's start with the most easy thing. Tell us about ControlUP.
Sure. So, ControlUP is a software company founded in this form. We started in 2014. Before that, we had a different business. We had a professional services business in Israel here. We used to do a lot of special projects for large enterprises in Israel. I had and still have two partners, Yoni Avital and Eli Lior. What we did usually is we sold infrastructure-related projects to all kind of hospitals, government, private company, public companies. And we used to do a lot of infrastructure projects plus all kind of code projects. So we had both professional services guys and also developers. And during the free time of the developers, we would use to develop all kind of small things that we thought have a lot of value. And that's how we kind of started to think about a startup. One of the tools that we decided to develop was actually meant to be developed for our own purposes, for the professional services guys. Because the way we used to work is we would implement a project at a customer, do the handover the project to the customer, and then provide them SLA and support. And when they ran into difficult problems that they couldn't solve, they would call our specialists to help them solve the problems. And in that situation, you get into the room, some of the production is down. Usually it's the money time, like things are not working as expected. Everyone are on the edge, and they expect you to solve the problem as fast as possible. And what we found out is that with all the tools that were out there at the enterprises, none of the tools really let you solve the problem quickly. They all tell you about the problem, they ring the bells when there is a problem, but nothing really let you solve the problem, get to the bottom of the root cause and solve it quickly. And that's when we started to think about a product that can solve this issue. And we used the spare time of the developers to develop this tool initially for our own purposes. And it got better and better. And I think one of the great things about the beginning of ControlUP is that because we had this access to large production environments at customer side, and because of the attitude of those customers, they're okay, yeah, you want to try it, sure, try it here on the production, it's that really helped us improve the product and make it something that is really powerful. And soon after that, we started getting a lot of requests from those customers saying, hey, this is a great tool, can you leave it here? And at a certain point, we realized that we have something real here. And that's where we kind of made a shift in our thought process, and we decided to invest more and more in the product itself rather than in professional services.
What I like about your story is that you had an actual need that you identified in the field for your customers, and you grew up with it. And I think, Ron, that most of startups and entrepreneurs, they want to validate the need.
So you had
So-
everything in place. You had like design partners, yeah, and you incubated the entire startup in your developer site. I mean, your development department. That's amazing.
That helped us a lot because the question of product market fit was answered from day one. Okay,
Beautiful.
We knew that there is a need, and we developed it along with this need, and the testing and the entire cycle was very, very quick without taking any large VC money. Yes, we did it, but while we bootstrapped the company. After a while, around 2012, we were still mostly a professional services business, and we had this very small product. We thought about taking money from VCs. So we went around, and we still didn't have any sales for that product. Yes, we went around, we met all kinds of VCs, and we actually got a term sheet, okay, from one of the VCs. I won't mention the name. And I remember myself, like I looked at the term sheet, I didn't know even how to read it. Yeah, I went to a legal advisor, and I realized the crazy terms they wanted to have, like for example, reversed vesting. I said, no way. I mean, I'm invested in that in my business. I'm giving my life to it, and now they want to reverse vest my stock options. Sorry, not options, my shares. And we thought internally, and we decided that if we'll go out live with our own money, without taking any VC money right now, then we'll be at a better position in a matter of a year or two, because we'll prove them that we have customers and that the product is great, and we'll get better valuation. Looking back, a small spoiler, looking back, it was a mistake. but that's what we thought is the best thing to do, and that's what we did. So we continued to bootstrap the company until 2014, and for another 2 years. During that time, we did whatever we can to bring customers, and we did it very, very successfully.
Can you tell us about the challenges in bringing customers?
Yes. Basically, you need a lot of money to go out to the market, right? But we had almost none. Yeah, all the money went to R&D. We didn't have anything for marketing. So we needed to kind of reinvent ourselves and think out of the box and take all kind of guerrilla marketing approaches to get to the market. And that's what we did. I mean, I remember Yoni, my dear partner, and myself, we used to go to, we didn't have the money to put a booth, yeah? So we went to all kind of events, relevant events, and we just jumped on people that we recognized from LinkedIn. Hey, I know you, I want to show you something. And they're like, wow, who are you? But actually it worked. So it worked. We managed to get attention from some of the thought leaders in our space. And then at a certain point, and that was kind of the breakthrough, at a certain point, somebody wrote a blog about us, somebody from Citrix, from the Citrix support. And then we started to see like hundreds of POC starts and downloads and POC starts, hundreds, and that very, very quickly it became thousands of POC starts. And you see some really serious organizations like HSBC and some great guys. By the way, in order to enable this penetration to the market, we gave it for free that time. So the initial version was for free. We managed to get to around 4,000 installations at large enterprises.
Wow.
Very quickly, with no money whatsoever. And, we just sat there and we planned the next version. Obviously, the next version was not 100% free. It was freemium. Mm-hmm. So we kept an offering for free. If you're a small organization that don't want to pay, even today, you can still use our product. But then starting from a certain size of the organization, you need to start pay. After about 6 months, we upgraded the version. The previous one was dismissed, and we started to convert those prospects to customers. For that, we onboarded another C-level executive to handle the sales and marketing. His name is Amir Harel. Still works. The three of us still run the business. Amir He used to say, it's amazing. The product market fit is so amazing. I'm sitting with my underwear in the basement and I'm selling over email. I don't even need to speak with customers. So that brought us some revenues. And within a matter of 2 years, we managed to get to our first $1 million of ARR. And then we went again to the VCs.
Before continuing to the VCs,
Yes.
you said that you've changed the product version. Of course, you needed to scale up to more customers and you needed to give support, but what was the main change in the product that you learned from the customers?
So one of the things we realized we need to change is to be more of an enterprise solution, okay? Because when you develop quick, you forget about all the not very interesting stuff, yeah, like security policy, like permissions, like authorization, and then we needed to kind of close this gap, and that's what we did. Yes, we closed the gap. We came up with something that is much more enterprise grade. That would also allow us to raise the price of the product, the ARPA, annual revenue per account, after 2 years, we felt we are ready to go out there big times. We already had, I think, 200 customers, a bit more than 200 customers. And we said, okay, now we're going to get great valuation from the VCs, right? I mean, it makes sense. And you see some brand names, like serious logos. So we went for a round of VCs. This time we are sure like a few months, and that's gonna be a piece of cake. But what we realized is that once you start selling, the game changes. Okay, everything becomes like a math. Okay, you have this and that customers. All of a sudden, there is no like big dream. You have this and that customers, average revenue per account.
Judging you by the numbers.
Judging you completely by the numbers and like getting into the details rather than looking at the big picture. And we went to many VCs. I think it was a very difficult time, maybe over 6 months of going from VC to VC, and eventually. All the VCs would say, look, this is very impressive, a nice story, great execution without any money, very impressive, but we want to see this and that. We want to see better price. We want to see better marketing. Yes, everyone had something to say, and everyone just sat on the fence and waiting for the first one to swallow the bait. And then somebody gave us an offer. A small VC, not very known. And again, I got the term sheet and I still couldn't read it. So I took a meeting with my trusted legal advisor, great guy named Alon Sar from Meitar. And we sat there together and he looked at it was like Thursday evening. He looked at the terms and he said, wow, this is great. This is very impressive. Do you mind if I take a phone call? I say, sure. And he takes a phone call, and he calls the guys that are running the show at JVP that time. His name was Kobe, and said, look, there is a great company here. You want to meet them? And he said, sure. Tell them to come here on Sunday. And that's what we do. We went there on Sunday, and Sunday evening we had a great term sheet from JVP, much better than the previous one. And the decision was pretty easy. We got into a quick due diligence of 3 months, and we signed a deal. That was the first investment we took, and that changes the company altogether. The shift was immediate and very thorough. First, we need to kind of like get rid of the professional services business. Yes, so we split the companies. One of the original partners is still running that company. Okay, it's still running, but Yoni and myself focused only on the product. So we split the company altogether, focused only on the product. Back then, around ControlUP itself, there were 9 people when we closed the investment. And then we started, that was 2014. And that's where the company really started to be a real product company.
You scaled up there? You recruited more people?
Hell yes. Yes.
How many?
I think I remember the board meetings were all around. Okay, how do I populate all these slots? So we got from 9 to 30 in a year, and then we kind of double ourselves every year since. Today we are almost 200 people. Okay, in U.S., U.K., Germany, and Israel, of course. And the company continues to grow on a massive scale.
Okay, so when you have a fast growth of employees, how do you create like a culture of organization? Because when you are a small startup, everyone's doing everything, everyone's juggling. What's the difference in how you build it?
So this is a very big challenge. I think one of the main challenges is to keep the DNA and to keep the culture of the company being a small, quick company where, with the can-do approach. And as you get bigger and bigger, it's getting more and more difficult because people expect to do a more defined scope of work, it is a big challenge. I think, what's a bit different about ControlUP is that I told you before that we had 9 people when we closed the investment. The 10th people was HR specialist, which is today the VP of HR. Her name is Dana. And we worked very closely to filter the employees and to filter the prospects and make sure that we're only people that would check all the boxes of the DNA and the culture would get into the company. And sometimes we did a big, we filtered out people that, were great R&D guys, great leaders, but we didn't feel that they would fit to the culture of the company. And my test is very simple. Yes, I'm saying if this is a guy that I would gladly after work drink beer with or go to a hike, then it's a go. And then all the others. And I think it worked very nice for us. I mean, I think the culture, we built a great culture in ControlUP, really great people. We love hanging out. We're doing crazy parties. We continue to invest a lot of thoughts and resources on keeping everyone together and happy and celebrating and not just working all day. Yeah.
That's a great story, really. Is this your only round of investment till now?
No, so I'll continue with the story.
Yeah.
Around 2016, we had JVP on the board and ourselves, and JVP told us, "Hey guys, you need to start moving to the US and start getting some US employees, US presence." And we started speaking about the next round. By then, we didn't have a lot of cash in the company, but it was still okay. So we started thinking about it, about going to the US, about relocation. Basically, it made most sense that Amir would relocate because he had the sales and the marketing. But it was a big jump for him at that time. Okay, lots of kids. And not a lot of cash in the company, so it was a big risk, I guess. So I went to my partner and said, "Hey, do you want to relocate?" And he said, "No way. No way, my wife doesn't want to relocate." So I said, "Okay, so it is left for me." So we took the step. I relocated with my family, wife, 3 kids to California. First, California wasn't the first thing we thought about. Yeah, so before we relocated, my wife and I went on a small road trip. Went to New York, to Jersey, to Boston, and we really loved New York. And we thought, okay, that's where we're gonna start the office. But we still had a plane ticket to California to see it also, So we flew to California, and once the plane landed and we made the trip to the Silicon Valley, we said, okay, this is where we want to be.
You just fell
this
in
is
love.
like heaven. The mountains are green and the sky are blue and you see the ocean. So it was love at first sight. So we decided to start the office there in San Jose, and that's what we did. And I think that was maybe the most difficult thing for me. Yeah, from I think we were around 80 people when we did that. Going from this craziness of getting into the office and you have 80 people and you need to run the show and everything, living to a brand new office, no one there. That was very difficult for me, and like starting to build everything from scratch. And but that was what we needed to do. So we started to build the US office, started to onboard some employees, and I have to tell you, the US sales boomed 300% that year.
Wow.
You make it sounds easy.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us about the bumps.
Tell us more about those difficulties.
Okay, so the difficulties, right. So first, the culture differences are super difficult. I mean, every candidate I saw, after that, I said, wow, this is a perfect match. I mean, those guys can really sell themselves. And like, unlike the Israeli guys that are very, to the point, the US guys are educated from kindergarten to present themselves, to show how great they are. So for an Israeli guy, it's super difficult to filter out those that are not relevant or not the best match. But again, we talked about it before, I think luck is a big factor. Yeah, if you have luck, you don't need much brain. So I think we were very lucky to start with the first 3 employees in the US were top-notch, still working in the company, top-notch sales guys and support guys. And once you start to build this circle, then they bring other people and they bring other people. So it's it's a bit easier to grow there, but still we made tons of mistakes, tons of people that we onboarded, and after a few months we realized this is not it. We need to switch, and every switch like this, when you need to first it's difficult, to lay off somebody, and then you want to bring someone else. You need to onboard them, and every time it happens, it takes you back. But it's part of the game. I think one of the lessons we learned from working in the Silicon Valley is when I went there, it was very obvious to me that we're gonna bring people in San Jose in the office, like in Israel. But it's just when you sit there and you start seeing people, you realize that you have no way to compete with the large guys. I mean, not in the salaries you can pay, not in the equity, even not in equity. So we started spreading to the rest of the U.S. and we started onboarding people from the entire continent, and they would work from remote offices. So we built a true remote workforce, which really helped us as the COVID-19 hit us. Okay, because for us, anyways,
you had the entire
infrastructure
ready for it.
Exactly. Like I said, sometimes luck is much better than
amazing.
That. So we established an office, and some people would work in the office, but the vast majority would work from home offices. Soon after me, Amir also relocated, and we then went for another round of VCs. That was when we met K1. K1 are a VC, private equity / VC fund sitting in LA. We had a good chemistry between us, and the results were also good for the company. So it was a bit of an easier round than the first one. Nothing is easy, yes, but it was a bit easier than the first one, and up to date, this is how the board looks like. It's K1, JVP are the big investors. Of course, since then we also joined another board advisor, which is not an investor, but so that was the second round. It was in 2017. We raised $10 million from both JVP and K1. And we used this money very, very, I think, wisely. If you look back, we used it wisely. We didn't go crazy, like spending it all over. We made good bets. With the money, continue to grow the business. Looking back, we could probably grow even more aggressively. But it is what it is. We grew at a good rate without risking too much of the money. And about over a year ago, I decided to relocate back to Israel with my family because of private things. Basically we felt that the kids are getting really American. When you're there, even though California is beautiful and the Silicon Valley is amazing, still we're Israelis by heart. Yes, so the family is here, the friends. So we decided to relocate back. We moved back to Israel, and then the COVID-19 hit us.
I wanted to ask about the cultural thing because you said you decided to move back to Israel. So Israel is like a warm ecosystem that supports entrepreneurs. Tell us, where did you feel it in your journey, and if it was part of your decision right now, besides the family, like a business side, how do you feel that the Israeli startup nation ecosystem lift you up?
So I think what's special about Israel is that everybody thinks they know everything. And most of the people are, they're not very disciplined, which on the flip side is very supportive of a startup at its young stages. Okay, because you develop much quicker, you take risks, you develop really quick, and if it works, great. If not, then okay, we'll think out of the box and we change it and we'll do that and we'll do this. So everything is very quick. So on one hand, you can develop good stuff very quickly, but on the other hand, you're not laying like the infrastructure, for a scalable product. You're not thinking like 10 years ahead. You're thinking 1 year ahead, maybe 6 months ahead. So I think it's very helpful as a young startup. But then at a certain point of when you get to a certain size of the company, you need to start thinking like the American guys. You need to start planning more. You need to start thinking of stuff more at a grand level. And Israeli companies that didn't manage to do this shift, they come up with a product that just wouldn't scale. Yeah. I think my advice: be Israeli when you start. Prove the product market fit as soon as possible. Be quick. But then when you see that there is good validation, when you have the money, when you start getting to the next phase of the company, let's say $5, $6, $10 million of ARR, that's when you need to start shifting your thought toward something which is more planned, more documentation, more design, more planning, more scalability. Because I think that's the key, scalability. If you don't build a scalable product, either you'll die or somebody will buy you out, very, very early. If you want to build a scalable business, then you need to start investing in that, and it's a difficult shift to do. Yes, because you're used to do everything really quickly, but the concept of slow down, start planning, start designing for something that is more scalable.
You started as a service provider. Coming from there, creating a startup is a very different approach, very different angle. Tell us some more about that shift.
I totally agree. It's a huge change. Yes, you need to have a very flexible mind, which is also a virtue of many Israelis. So the DNA is so different. On one hand, because as a professional services guys, you think, okay, I'm going to spend this, I'm going to earn this, and that's my bottom line, and this is the salary I'm going to take home at the end of the day. And when you're talking about a startup, it's totally different. Hey, take all the money in the world and just build to scale as quick as possible. And I think this is first it's a very different approach, but I think that the DNA coming from the professional services, the DNA really helped us make wise decision and not take too many risks. Okay, we're good with risk. We like taking risk, but We didn't spend too much money. And I think that was something that even today, anyone who look at our P&L and our cash burn is amazed. How come you burned so little money? Yeah, so we, just to give you some numbers that I can share, we're today at the ballpark of, we're below 50, and we raised 50 of ARR, and we raised to date 40 altogether. Okay, so the ability to use the money wisely, I give that for our professional services DNA. So the changes, like it's a completely two things. You can even compare it, yes, from a company that you would see customers, like 3 customers a day, and sell whatever you're gonna eat tomorrow. You become something. Okay, let's develop a product, and there are a lot of phases inside it. Yes, so first the phase of the product development. Lot of R&D, lot of design. You need to wear the hat of the designer, the architect, the developer guy, and then you need to switch hats and put, okay, now we're marketing. Okay, how do we tell the story? How do we say it out loud? How do we bring the message to the market? And then you need to put the hats of the sales. Okay, how are we going to price it? Who are we going to speak with? Who's the relevant? So there are a lot of different hats that you need to wear. But yeah, I think I can speak for myself. Yeah? As a CEO, I think the main task and the main challenge at a certain size of the company is to stop doing stuff by yourself, which is a very different approach. When you're professional services, or even when you're a young startup, you do everything by yourself. But at a certain point, you need to stop doing that, and you need to bring the right guys that would do it. Otherwise, you won't be able to scale.
That's a great tip.
Yeah. And I think this is something that, it's funny. I tell you a funny story. When I filled out the forms for the L1 visa to the US, this is for executives, yes? So you needed, basically, I worked with a lawyer that helped me fill out the form. And basically what you need to prove is that you're an executive. How do you prove that you're an executive? You need to prove that you're not doing anything, basically. And that's how like the realization came to me. Being a true executive means you're not doing stuff by yourself. You work with the investors, you work with the board, you work with the rest of the executives. You hire other executives, but you're not doing stuff yourself. And this is something that for me, even today, this is super difficult. I'm a creative person. I like to do stuff. Today, I can't even do my own slides, So yeah, for me, it was a big shift, but I guess I managed to do it.
That's great. They say more money, more problems. So you gain more customers, you gain more work, at the end of the day, more money. That brings problems, support, right? Wow, how did you manage this challenge?
So it's a big challenge. Today we have over 1,300 customers, and many of them are really large customers. Yeah, I can't expose. I'm not sure which names I can expose. This is something you could see on our website, I guess. But some of them are like top 100 fortunate customers. They comes with many demands and crazy demands. Like a security questionnaire from this prospect could be 60 pages easily.
Wow.
Okay, so there is a lot of work on the pre-sale side. Okay, you need to come up with answers to everything basically, and after that you need to give them great support and great customer success. And over the years, maybe we were a bit late to understand how important customer success is. Because you're saying, okay, I'm putting this, it's an expensive thing, customer success. I'm putting in, and what would they do? I mean, we sell anyway. We have very good churn figures. We don't get a lot of churn. Our expansion is great. So in order to justify customer success person, these guys would need to sell more. But so we came a bit late into the game of customer success. But after we started investing in that, we realized that this is super important, because customer success give you not only it gives you the intimacy with the customers. Okay, so you have good calls with the customers, you realize what the value proposition for them, and it helps you throughout the rest of the business, how to better put a message out there that would resonate better with the people you sell to. And that, at the end of the day, that brings more expansion, more revenues, and it's a win-win. Okay, everybody win. The customer win, we win because we get a lot of value, and obviously it supports a lot of growth and scale. So yeah.
I love that you highlight the value proposition, because many startups in the early stage, they spend a lot of time to understand their customers. But then when they have the products, sometimes they forget that it needs to be continued all the time, and they don't know how to maintain this. And when you talked about the customer success, you said, okay, we are big, but we still maintain our relationship with the field.
Intimacy, yeah.
Yeah, the intimacy you said. And as a service provider, in the beginning of the way, it's like you had a design partner. But what can you tell to entrepreneurs that don't have this kind of connections in the beginning?
So I think it's super important in that case to listen to the customers. Yes, we had the luxury to not having to listen to customers because we knew the market very, very well. So at the initial years, we were good, but also, we kind of drifted away from, being very technical and, doing the stuff ourselves. And you need to listen to the customers. So I think it's super important to have the high-level executive, CEO, VP sales, VP product, even as silent participants in sales calls and in onboarding calls, and later on customer success calls. Just be there, listen to the customers, listen to what they have to say, how they see your value, because usually it's totally different. You think the value proposition is X, but the customer see it completely differently. And that helps you sharpen the message and be much more effective when it comes to your messaging and product plans. Yeah.
How do you measure your KPIs for a success customer point of view?
The ultimate measurement at the end of the day is churn values. Yes, so we call it gross MRR churn, and expansion. Yes, so this is the ultimate, but it doesn't tell the entire picture, because sometimes things happen in the market. For example, with the COVID-19, many organizations started working from home. It created a lot of expansion for us. So it's not like you should say, oh, we're doing great customer success, because this is something that this is a trend of the market. So I think the answer is very soft, okay? You need to measure expansion and churn, yes. Obviously, we track that on monthly basis. We report it to the board. And every time we have a big churn, by the way, we circle around an email about this churn, why it happened, what the customer said, why we lost this customer. We're doing it also for expansions. But this is not the entire picture. The rest of the picture is when you need to schedule a call with the customer, okay? And you see how easily the customer success representative can bring the customer, the relevant people from the customer, and the feedback you get from them. So I think this is the real value of the customer success, which is not measurable.
Yeah. And you said that the COVID created an opportunity for you. Can you elaborate on that? How?
Yes. So, first, maybe a word or two about what ControlUP is about.
Yeah. It's about time. Yeah.
Okay. So ControlUP is a self-healing mechanism for end-user computing. Okay, so we support any organizational desktop. It could be physical, it could be a cloud desktop or a virtual desktop, and we can track the performance and most important, the user experience, and we can optimize it. Okay, either fully automatically or with the help of the IT administrator. So when COVID started, it created two negative forces that kind of cancel each other, okay, on us, on ControlUP. First one is that we relied heavily on events, large events, like VMware events, Citrix events, Microsoft events. So when those just stopped altogether, so that required us to shift all our marketing efforts to online, and it's not the same because you don't get the same level of communication. When you're doing a Zoom session or on a webinar, then you see somebody face to face on the show floor. On the other hand, it also created a big trend in the market to focus more on the end user devices because think about it. All of a sudden, the entire organization spreaded, everyone working with this laptop from home, and now you get all kinds of problems which are not even related to the organization that you need to solve for the person. Yes, so the employee that's now working from the home office says nothing works. In reality, it could be it's just too far from the Wi-Fi, or the kids are now downloading stuff and occupying the network. So all of a sudden, the ability to realize, to analyze where are the problems in the user experience and be able to solve it became a big issue for those organizations. So that created a lot of demand for us. So a lot of our existing customers switched to a bigger license, and we see customers, talking about they're acquiring ControlUP from their pandemic budget. Okay, which is a thing, So all of a sudden it became a must-have tool, and of course, we ride the wave, and we sell much more. So 2020 was a very, very good year for us. Another thing that happened this year is that we got a very strategic partnership with VMware. Actually, we started working on it at the end of 2019. But VMware realized that they need a partner like us, and they started selling ControlUP on their price catalog as the advanced monitoring for their systems. So that brings a lot of validation to the market. All of a sudden, a lot of partners are coming to us. Hey, we want to sell ControlUP. So it creates a big buzz. Overall, although the slowdown on marketing. We managed to hit our targets and do good. Yeah.
What other markets are you participating in today? I mean, all around the world. Are you a tool that I can use from all around the world?
So we are targeting on enterprise customers, mid-market and above. Okay, yeah. So mid-market, this is also something that a lot of Israelis need to understand. A mid-market enterprise is 5,000 employees and above. Okay, so customers that you would consider very large in Israel, they're only mid-market. Large customers, you don't have large customers in Israel. Okay, so those are only global in the US and Europe. So we are very targeted on the US and Western Europe. That's where most of our business comes from. And we are spread. Our technology is relevant for anyone who has IT. Okay, so we just all over, healthcare, government, education, public company, private company, anyone that has a large data center with thousands of employees that are using organizational PCs, whether physical or in the cloud or on-prem, are relevant customers to us.
It sounds like a very smooth journey, really. And I want to ask you, what about competition? Nobody nudges you. Nobody interferes over there. Isn't it making hard for you at certain places, certain customers? So
I don't think it's easy. No, last thing I can say about this journey is that it's easy. It's a real roller coaster. Sometimes I tell. Usually when we set the goals for the next year, something that I always communicate to the board, I mean, you guys, you don't understand the goals and whether or not we're hitting or missing them. This is what makes my mood, at the end of each quarter. So the last month of each quarter, we're going to be either sad or super happy according to those goals. I think we always try to set realistic goals that we can hit, we can get close to. Otherwise, it's not easy at all. Sorry, forgot the
competition
wise, and maybe we'll take it from
competition.
there to IP if you have an IP,
Sure, yes. So, so competition is a good thing. I mean, if you don't have competition, there's just a big question mark. Why there's no competition does make sense. You're not the only genius in the room. So yes, obviously we do have competition. There are several companies with products in our space. And it's valid and it's great. And, we always try to beat them with better technology, with a simpler solution, something that you can onboard more quickly, provide more value, and you can prove the differentiator. And I think that this is the key. The key is to have unique differentiators which are valuable, which none of the competition has. And I think that's really helped us close the business.
Tell us an example so it will be clear to everyone who
So,
listens.
for example, while most of the competition are very focused on monitoring and analyzing the user experience and provide insights and reports, we focus on that as well, like our competition. Plus, we provide another layer of remediation. So not only the ability to understand where the problems are, but also the ability that from the same console you can right-click and shoot a remediation action that would solve the problem. Okay, so we are very focused on that. On top of that, we are very focused on building a community. We built our remediation platform is community-driven. Our customers can create their own actions and can share it with the community. And we would moderate those actions or remediation actions and send it to the entire install base and for the good
You're
of the
constantly
rest.
learning the needs through the community.
Exactly. Well, the community learned the needs and with the help of the community, we streamline the value back to our customers.
Okay, so you've been all over, and ControlUP is global, right? And you visited different ecosystems, Boston, New York, and Silicon Valley. So you've seen entrepreneurs. What do you think differentiate us or the TLV DNA than others? And what are the tools or the skills that we can adopt to that journey?
So I think one of the most distinct virtues of Israelis that are very helpful for them to be a startup nation is that they are very opinionated. Yeah, they would always tell you what they think. They would argue, versus the American guys, which are much more disciplined. Yeah, many times I find that when I communicate with U.S. employees, I would tell them, hey, I wanted this and I wanted that, and they would say, okay, and take notes, and like I'm telling them, don't take notes, argue with me, tell me what you think.
Feedback.
Right? I want the feedback. And with the Israelis, it's the other way. I'm telling, okay, here is exactly how I want it. And they would just argue and argue and argue. And I think it's a good thing because you make less mistakes. Okay? So if you are able to check in your ego at the door and get into the conversation and be open about okay, I want this, but I'm also open to hear your opinion. That brings a lot of value, and at the end of the day, you come up with better ideas and better execution, better product, better everything. So I think this is something that is very distinct in the Israeli people.
So you don't want a yes man in your validation process. You want feedbacks, and you want all the other answers you haven't thought about. That's what you're actually
most definitely on the execution level. Yes, C-level executives, V-level executives should be very opinionated. Tell me their true feedback, and not take my stuff as a yes.
All right, so we're about to wrap it up, and before we do that, we really want you to give us your golden advice or 3 tips must do that you can tip all the other entrepreneurs that are listening to this podcast.
So I'll give you one golden advice, okay? That for me, this is like the gem, the real gem. First assume that the startup is a long process, okay? Usually, for most entrepreneurs, it's a long process, a lot of ups and downs. It's a true roller coaster. And it requires lots of work. And you would find yourself working 10 and 11 and 12 hours a day and even more than that. My advice is to maintain balance. Yeah, you can't just work and work and work. Okay, if you want to run for the long term, you need to maintain balance with your private life. Okay, don't forget about the wife, about the kids, about having fun and not just work the whole day. In order to sustain this nature of work, find what you really like to do and make sure you do it most often. So when you come Sunday morning, when you come to the office, you're all set. Yeah, you're after a recharge. So that's my advice. Yes.
Recharge
every weekend.
All right, so we're wrapping it up now. Thank you, Asaf. Thank you very much for coming. Good luck in the rest of the journey.
It was interesting to learn about your journey.
Very insightful. And to all our audience all around the world, you can listen to our podcast on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple, Google. You can watch us on YouTube as well. I'm Ron Avon.
And I'm Hila Lizarovich.
And we are the TLV DNA. See you next chapter.